what's up, you guys, and welcome back to the Televised podcast. My name is Anna, and today we're going to be talking about Batwoman Season 2, Episode 8, titled Survived Much Worse. Before we fully get into it, I do want to say thank you so much for 500 subscribers on YouTube. That is so insane, so crazy, especially considering that I don't actually post, like, videos. I mean, I have a few that I have, like, visual aids in. I mean, obviously the Supercorp one is a big one, but, like, it's just a picture with the audio on it. So thank you so much for listening and subscribing despite that. It really does mean a lot to me. And yeah, so thank you for that. And also thank you for watching that Supercorp video that I mentioned, because it just hit 12,000 views, which again is insane. Just thank you for watching it. Thank you for supporting it. I know I've said this before, but I did work really hard on it, and I feel like it does have a lot of really good information in it. So thank you so much for watching and appreciating it, I guess. So thank you. There's really not any, like, Supergirl news to cover. There's been no trailer put out. I'm recording this on Monday, so if it comes out on Tuesday, I apologize for that. Or I apologize for not being able to see the future, but so no Supergirl trailer, unfortunately, but I am really I'm ecstatic, y'all, to talk about this Batwoman episode. I'm so excited. It was such an insane episode. The last, like, 15 minutes of the episode had me screaming. I'm not even joking. I was like, just like out loud being like, what is happening? And because there was, like, one surprise right after the other of, like, what do you mean, what is happening, what? It was crazy. It was such a good episode. And if you haven't watched, I've seen it two times at this point. If you haven't watched it again, I would totally recommend going back and watching it again, because it's just like, once you know, all of the little, like, details show up. Like, once you know kind of the ending and what happened at the end, the second watch is even better, because it's like, oh my god, look at all these little, like, things that they dropped to, like, make you question and make you wonder. And I'm definitely gonna be talking about all of that and more in this recap. But first of all, I do want to say huge congratulations to Wallis Day for being officially confirmed as our new Kate Kane. I'm so excited to see what they do with this storyline. I mean, if you've been listening to me for a while, you know I've been manifesting Wallis as Kate since last summer. So I am beyond thrilled with this casting choice, with this the direction that the show is going. I'm so excited. I mean, I've been thinking that they couldn't possibly resolve this storyline without actually bringing Kate into the fold once again, because it just wouldn't make sense. So I'm so excited to see how this all plays out, and I'm so thrilled for Wallis, who, I mean, she expressed on Twitter, like, back in the summer that she wanted this role. So I'm so excited to see what she does with this, because I'm so excited. And this is so cool, because I was thinking about it, and now that Kate is back, and the articles, because there was a bunch of articles that came out right after the episode finished airing, the articles said that that Kate would be a recurring character in the second season. And with that means that there's 7 sapphic characters currently recurring on Batwoman. So we have Ryan, obviously, Sophie, Julia, Kate, Sophia, Tatiana, and Angelique. 7. That's a lot. That's a crazy amount of sapphic characters on one show. And that's not even all of the sapphic characters that have, like, passed through Batwoman. Like, there have been many others too as well. I mean, you know, thinking about, like, Reagan, or about Parker from season 1, you know, all of these different characters. It's just, for me, that is so special and so important, because for this show to have this main cast of, like, what, maybe like 14 characters that kind of like regularly occur. Well, maybe not 14. 12 maybe. I mean, that are like regularly a part of the show. For this show to have like 7 of them be LGBT characters, specifically sapphic characters, that's insane. And it goes to prove it proves that there's no quota, there's no limit, there's nothing stopping from any creator, any television show creator, from putting enough and adequate representation into their show. I mean, I know that there are some networks that obviously would not want that, or like maybe, not for every show on every network, but the fact that Batwoman has 7, that is so many. 7 is so many. All on one show, all having main parts, like all having important places in the story. It's just so cool to see. And especially too, because since now we have these 2 Batwomen, we have Ryan and we have Kate. Both actresses are bi, which is so cool as well, to have this representation, to be in, really good hands. They understand. I think that's the thing, is like they understand the gravity of these characters and they understand the importance of these characters. And it just makes me feel so happy, and it makes me feel so good to be a fan of this show and to be able to sit down and watch it every single week and know that whatever happens on my screen, that I can trust the people behind the show. I mean, Caroline included. It just makes me feel really good. So I'm excited to see where this goes. But I will be talking about this a bit more later, obviously, because once we start getting into Kate and that final shot, I definitely have a lot of theories and a lot of questions and a lot of feelings and thoughts about that, about what we saw of Kate at the end of the last episode. But also, I just also wanted to say that this sentiment of me expressing that there's like 7 sapphic characters on Batwoman and then 2 bi leads, actresses, I tweeted that on Sunday, and then I woke up and there was a whole bunch of like Republicans and homophobic people in my mentions just like shitting on the show. And I'm like, you know what? That just proves that Batwoman is like stirring the pot. You know what I mean? Like, it's, if anything, these people's irrational hatred of the show, it just shows that, like, because they were like, oh, it's trash, like, whatever. Like, no, it's not. If you watch the show, it's clearly not a bad show. It's a great show. It's one of my favorite superhero shows that I've ever seen. It's just, every character is well written. Every moment is just written really well. Everything is believable. Everything is grounded while also fantastical and larger than life. Everything about the show is wonderful. And I mean, sure, it might not be everybody's cup of tea. I'm not saying that everybody has to like the show. But you can't say, oh, it's like trash, because it's not. And for people to just like take every minute of their time to like shit on the show, it just goes to show that Batwoman is doing things that make them scared. You know what I mean? Like, Batwoman is like shaking things up and proving that there's no quota and that you can have superhero shows that have tons of LGBT characters. And it doesn't take away from anything, and it, in fact, enhances the storyline when you give those characters depth and gravity. And it makes those people scared. And honestly, it's just funny at this point. It's just funny. It's like, damn, you guys are so scared of this show that's like pushing the envelope, and they're afraid that other shows will follow suit. I can feel it. But anyway, let's actually get into the recap of the episode. So the episode actually starts with Ryan and Alice both writing a letter to Kate. And I loved that moment so much because it goes kind of along with the rest of their dynamic throughout the episode, where they're fully 2 sides of the same coin. They've both been through so much, but they both kind of came out of it as opposite people. And that is so interesting to watch and so such an interesting dynamic for them to have, and I loved watching them interact this episode. But hearing them write these letters to Kate was so devastating, especially because for Ryan, it was basically her final goodbye, because she was like, I'm dying, and I'm gonna do everything I can to be the best hero that I can be up until that final moment. But that final moment, is roaring up on me very soon, and that was so heartbreaking to hear. And then obviously at the beginning, Alice is still kind of insisting that she wants to kill Kate and get rid of her, so she's basically like writing she's writing an obituary for Kate. She's like, you're gonna be dead because you betrayed me. And and Ryan, actually, in her note, she kind of attributes her bravery and her inspiration to Kate, which I really appreciated, because I mean, like I said a couple episodes ago, has been like a little bit of a disconnect between Ryan and Kate for me, just because of how much longer could Ryan keep excusing the kind of the actions of the Bat team of like letting Alice go and it's all for Kate. How long could she keep doing that for someone that she doesn't know? But I do appreciate that they kind of brought Kate back into Ryan's life for this moment. I really liked that. So Mary actually catches Ryan about to take some drugs, about to shoot up a mix of adrenaline and cortisone. And Mary is like, what are you doing? And I'm like, okay, now you get it conscious about about medical malpractice. No, Mary was a good doctor. She's a good doctor. But Ryan is like, look, I saw on YouTube that you could do this and that it would make me feel good. And Mary's like, okay, yeah, but did they say on YouTube that the minute that you do that, you're basically like reducing your clock to like 24 hours? And Ryan's like, okay, but I'm dying anyway, so I've got to do something. And Ryan basically says, I'm dead already. Like, what's the point of like just waiting out my short life expectancy if I could actually go help Kate and go help myself by getting the Desert Rose? So Luke actually ends up handing over Alice's location to Sophie, and he ends up also revealing that he's working with the new Batwoman. And Sophie's like, okay, so you're working with Batwoman? And he's like, I'm sure you're familiar with the concept of don't ask, don't tell. Ouch, Luke, I think it might be a little soon for that. Shit. Ouch. And that was cold. It was ice cold, but it's fine. But he's like, oh, look, Sophie, Batwoman is sick. I need you to get her a Desert Rose. You can have Alice's location so you could go get Kate. But while you're there, I need you to do this for me. And so Mary, Luke, and Ryan end up watching from the Batcave as Sophie and Jacob are headed to like an airplane to go to Coriana. And they're watching on like Sophie's like body cam footage, basically. And they end up getting kidnapped by the Many Arms of Death. Surprise, surprise. And that ends up spurring Ryan into being like, okay, God, I just wanted to relax, but see, look, Sophie didn't do shit. You trusted her again, and she got kidnapped. So I've got to go do it myself. And she says, I'm saving them, I'm saving Kate, and I'm saving my damn self. And if that's not a hero, like a hero's statement, I don't know what is. So she takes that drug and she's like flying high. She is like kicking and she's like, I feel phenomenal. And Mary says, look, the more that you like work, the higher your heart rate is, the quicker you're going to work through that adrenaline and the quicker you're going to die. So best be careful. And Luke informs Ryan that the cowl can actually detect the electromagnetic field that is keeping Coriana hidden. And Luke gives Ryan some, like, I don't know, some little device that, like, blocks electromagnetic signals or something. I don't know. It's to make the handcuffs uncuff, is basically what it is. So he gives her 3 of those and says, I got you a ride. Let's go. And actually, there's a really sweet moment between Mary and Ryan before she actually ends up leaving. Mary actually clips Ryan's cape onto her person. I'm like, okay, I see you, Mary. I see you. And it was so cute because then after all of this, like they're talking and Ryan basically is like, look, here's my plant. This is the plant that Angelique gave to me, and I was going to give it to my mom when we moved in, but obviously that you know how that ended. So I need you to take care of this plant. I need you to keep my plant alive because I might not make it back to take care of this plant. And Mary's like, look, you have to make it back because I don't have a green thumb. In fact, I have a black thumb. I'm going to kill this plant. But it was a really sweet moment because you could tell that Mary was like, she was like, you know, trying to like make light of this situation, but you could tell that she was so devastated for Ryan. And it's so cool to see how much their relationship has grown in just this short amount of episodes, in the short amount of time of them working together, and how much Ryan means to Mary. I mean, Ryan and Mary have the closest connection of anyone in the main cast so far, and I really, really like them as a duo. So Luke thinks, apparently, that it's a good idea to stick Ryan in the back of a cargo plane for her ride to Coriana. Okay, I'm like, wait, Luke, did you hear Mary when she said that the faster Ryan's heartbeat, the quicker she's going to work through the adrenaline? Because I think that jumping out of a plane would give me a heart attack. And Ryan even says that she'd never been on a plane before. This is the first time she's in a plane, and she's strapped between like two boxes, and she has to jump out the plane. Oh my God, it was horrible. She's like literally dying, and Luke is like, yeah, jump. Oh my God. So on Coriana, though, Alice presents her fake ocean. I think I'm going to call him Lake, just because that's funny. So Lake, if you will, to Sophia, and she totally buys it. Alice and Sophia, they actually end up exchanging some words with Alice, calling Sophia out on her feelings for her, and Sophia's like, whoa. I didn't have feelings for you. I was just mad that you betrayed me, and that's all. Thank you. And the show actually does this really great fake out where they have Sophia like touching Ocean's face and all of that. And we think that she like is totally not buying this Lake figure on the table, that she is not believing that, you know, that this is her brother, but she does. And actually the reveal in this moment is that she found the tracker that Ryan had placed into Alice's boot. So she's like, look, someone, you know, tracked you here and I've got Sophie and Jacob locked up. And that's it. So speaking of Sophie and Jacob, they actually wake up on Coriana to Tatiana in their cell. Tatiana reveals that Sophia actually wants Sophie to work with her and to join her army. And Sophie's like, why would I want to join an army of ruthless killers? And Tatiana, she straight up says, because you're already a part of one. She is an anti-Crow, and I appreciate that. I actually really like Tatiana as a character. She's petty. She's mean. She is gay. Everything about her is incredible. Love her. And she's like, look, we support and protect our people and you oppress yours. So actually we have the moral high ground here. And I mean, also we all, I think, know that another reason that Sophia wants to keep Sophie around is because she has a crush on her. So then we're back in the plane and Ryan is hyping herself up to jump out of this plane. And it was so funny because she's like, you could do this, you could do this, you could do this. And I was like, girl, I would never jump out of a plane. And so she's like, she just basically just kind of like hypes herself up, gets a running start, and then dives out of the plane. And she's got this like mask on, which is cool. And she does have a parachute, which, Thank you. That's very nice. And they make jokes about the bat plane and the bat sub, and I love that. I'd love to see them on the show. I don't know where they'd take the bat sub. I mean, who's she gonna fight? Black Manta? I don't know. But I loved that, reference to those like kind of goofier Batman vehicles. But Ryan, actually, when she was diving into the air, that was such a sick shot. And I think it just looked so cool because, I mean, a lot of the time, most of the stunts we see on Batwoman are in the dark because most of the show takes place at night in the dark. And so for us to see Batwoman like in broad daylight with the red cape and like the, the wig of her cowl like flowing in the wind and like her just diving straight through the blue sky to Coryana, it was such a sick stunt. It was so cool. It was just such a sick shot, and it was so cool to see. And it was so heroic, it was such a hero moment. It was like a very like Supergirl kind of moment where she's like diving down. And I love that. And so Ryan ends up, when she lands on Coryana, she's got her cool little parachute. She parachutes down and she deploys one of the electro blocker things, I don't know, that allows Sophie and Jacob to break out of their cuffs, and they knock out Tatiana and they run out into the woods of Coryana. And Ryan, though, when she lands, she is immediately assaulted by the many arms of death. Surprise, surprise, the island is overflowing with so many arms. But she does get a glimpse at these huge, like, sprawling fields of the desert rose flower before being captured. And she also ends up losing her comms because of that electromagnetic field thing, whatever. So then Alice and Sophia talk a lot this episode. They go back and forth a lot. Sophia definitely drags out the experience of hanging out with Alice and then kind of like stringing her along about Kate. So they have this other chat, and Alice is like, look, I need you to bring me to Kate right now. I'm sick of waiting. And Sophia challenges Alice about why she actually wants Kate dead. And she's not the only one to do that this whole episode, but she says that subconsciously Alice wants the love that Kate has. And she wants that love to transfer to her when Kate is dead, even though everyone will still hate her once Kate is gone. That's what Sophia's like, look, everyone hates you, and you killing Kate is only going to make it worse. And she continues to just like string it along, and she's saying she'll take it or Kate, but then Batwoman is dragged in, and she's like, Batwoman, hey, what are you doing here? And Ryan reveals, which is crazy, she reveals that Mr. Lake sitting over on the table is not actually Ocean. And which obviously gets Alice into a lot of trouble. And of course, like, the face stuff is always gross. Always. It's literally disgusting. And it was like when she like peeled the face off, it was like gooey. Why is it gooey? That's But Alice, it was actually kind of funny because Alice looked so sheepish when admitting to Sophia that it was just like some corpse that the morgue like wouldn't miss. I just love that, because that was a moment where Alice's real and true emotion was like shining through, where she just looked so admonished, kind of like, she just looked so sheepish. She's like, it was just a guy that the morgue is not gonna miss. Like, sorry, it's not really Ocean. Like, she just, I don't know. It was like her plan was foiled, but she didn't react in the way that we've normally seen her react when her plans are foiled. And I think this was such a great episode for Alice, and specifically for Rachel Skarsten in her acting of Alice, and kind of showing that change that we're already seeing from the last episode, where she kind of realizes her humanity. And that was one of the first moments where I kind of genuinely looked regretful that she took this guy out of the morgue and that she was caught out about it, that she was found out. So then in the woods, Jacob and Sophie end up having a conversation where Sophie reveals that she's not necessarily working with Batwoman, she's just not working against Batwoman. And Sophie challenges Jacob by saying that the crows aren't really held accountable for their actions the way he believes they are. Because his whole thing about Batwoman is that she doesn't have to follow the law, we have to follow the law. But Sophie's like, dude, if we actually had to follow the law and if we were actually held accountable for all of our actions, those guys that plowed down Wolf Spider would literally be in jail for attempted murder, basically, like for hit and run and for attempted murder and all of this stuff. Not just fired, like they just got fired, they got a slap on the wrist. And she's like challenging. I just love how I'm excited to see how this storyline plays out, because I really don't like that Sophie's with the crows, because I don't like the crows. So I'm excited to kind of see her work through these different thoughts that she's having about the crows, and hopefully, I mean, end up on the Bat team at some point, or like doing something. I don't know. She's just, I can't see Sophie lasting the entire season with the crows, if you know what I mean. So Alice and Ryan end up getting locked in a cell together, and Ryan goes absolutely in on Alice. This is the second person in this entire episode to like psychoanalyze Alice right in front of her salad. And it's like she can read her like an open book. But I mean, like I said earlier, they're kind of like two sides of the same coin. Because Ryan, I think she knows that if she'd been a bit of a different person, maybe she would have ended up like Alice because of everything that happened to her. But because of who Ryan is, she ended up as a hero, and Alice ended up kind of consumed with rage and hatred and all of that. And you know, they kind of have this confrontational moment where Ryan says that Alice has been distracting herself from killing Kate, and now that it's finally upon her, she's getting cold feet. And she says, look, you don't want Kate back to kill her. You just want her back. And Ryan brings up Alice saying that it's not her fault at the end of that fight last week, and says that her sliver of humanity left won't let her kill Kate. And I mean, that's what I mean. Like, Ryan just understands Alice in a way that I don't think any other character on the show understands her. I mean, I think even more than Kate ever understood her. Ryan just understands, I think, the primal need for survival, and especially when you have had so much happen to you, so many horrible things happen to you, you go through so much, and it's, I mean, what happened to Alice wasn't her fault. It wasn't her fault that she got kidnapped, that she got tortured by Cartwright and the Queen of Hearts, and saw her mom's frozen head in the fridge, and you know, there's so many things that built Alice into who she was, and I think Ryan truly understands that. Even, I mean, like I said, maybe even more so than Kate ever did. And I think she just understands being beat down to the breaking point, but because of, and I mean, we as the audience know that it's a lot because of Sophia's influence on her, but Ryan maybe assumes that it's just because of who she is as a person that she kind of lashed out and went down a darker path, while Ryan herself ended up harnessing that anger and using it towards becoming Batwoman. Like, I just love their opposites, their opposite angles that they've got going on right now. I really love that, and I think that could be really cool in developing some kind of relationship between the two of them. I'm really excited to see that unfold. And so Sophia ends up coming in, and she's like, okay, since you did me a solid, Batwoman, I'm gonna do you one back. And Ryan is like, look, I just need a desert rose because I've been poisoned and I'm gonna die. And Sophia's like, okay, sounds good. And Ryan's like, oh, also, I want to take Kate Kane back with me to Gotham alive. And she's like, whoa, you only did me one favor, so I'm only doing you one favor back. That's how it works. And Ryan's like, okay, I'll take the rose. And Alice looks genuinely shocked. She looks so shocked. And it's because Ryan, in her heart, knows that Alice can't kill Kate. And I think she knew that Alice was maybe hoping that Ryan would just take Kate, and then she could continue to kind of pretend to have this like fit over wanting to kill Kate without ever actually having to do it. So Alice is brought back out to that nice little patio that Sophia has. I love the patio. Very cute. I love that. And Sophia actually presents the real Ocean for Alice. And she presents her with an ultimatum. Kill Ocean or never see Kate again. And you know what? I mean, out of all the revelations of just this scene alone, I think the most surprising part to me was that Alice has a phone. Like, I don't know why, I just assumed that she just didn't have a phone, but Sophia was like, yeah, Alice, we took your phone and we found that you were searching up this place and that's where we found Ocean. Which, I mean, that in and of itself is devastating because obviously Alice, like I said last week, she basically asked Ocean if she could go with, and he brushed her off. So the fact that she was like looking for Ocean, like looking up the place that he was gonna be, like that's so heartbreaking because she clearly like wanted to go with him, and it's really sad. But back in Gotham, Mary is fussing over Ryan's plant, and her and Luke end up having a conversation about getting both Kate and Ryan back, and how having them both back would be a good problem to have, not a bad problem. And I really appreciate that the show itself and the characters within the show are asking these questions, because that's something that I'm wondering as the audience. You know, like once Kate's back, what happens to Ryan? You know, she changed the suit. She made it look cooler. What are we supposed to do? And I appreciate how the characters are also having that discussion, because it's such a real question that I think any viewer of Batwoman is wondering right now. Like, what happens once Kate comes back? Especially now that we have confirmation that she is coming back and that she is alive. You know, what happens once the two of them are in the Batcave together? You know, what is that going to look like? And I like that Mary and Ryan are like, look, that's a great problem to have. Having the both of them alive is wonderful. And I think we can figure it out later, basically, is what they said. And their conversation, though, is interrupted by one of Sophia's goons, one of her many arms, and Mary hits the assassin over the head with a glass bottle, effectively knocking her out. And Luke is like, look, we got to run to the Batcave. The elevator's not going to work because the power's out. We got to go. There's a stair set. And Mary's like, no. Hey, we've got Ryan's plant right here, and I can't leave the plant, Luke. I said that I would take care of the plant. And the goon is laying on the plant. And I know I mentioned this last week that I was missing Mary and Luke, and I really loved this interaction between the two of them. Not only in this scene, but there's another scene too, and I loved that. That was so good, and I've missed their dynamic so much. And I hope that now that we're kind of like moving into a different, not necessarily a different chapter of the show, but this felt almost like a mid-season finale for Batwoman. I hope that now that we're kind of doing that, we can get back to that Mary and Luke dynamic that I've missed a lot. So Ocean, actually, back on Coriana, ends up revealing that Sophia's brain wipe worked. He's like, look, you made me forget Alice. I didn't remember a single thing about her until I touched her 2 weeks ago, you know? And and he's like, I'm not the one framing you either. Like, why would I frame you? And like, I didn't even know about Alice. Like, how could I possibly have framed you for the murder of her sister when I didn't know she existed? And in the end, Alice takes the knife that the special knife that Sophia presents to her, and plunges it into his heart. And she says, quote, I'm sorry, Ocean, but I don't want to kill her anymore, because he is pleading for his life. And he says, look, is it worth it to kill me just to kill your sister? And she says, I don't want to kill her anymore. And then plunges the knife into his heart. And that moment, I mean, that moment was probably the most interesting of this whole episode to me. Well, in terms of like character development, because for Alice to simultaneously have a moment of like human growth and just like growth as a person and as a human being with a heart to decide that she doesn't want to kill her sister anymore, that she does love her sister, that's the emotion that she's been feeling is in fact love for her sister and not hatred and not bitterness, and that she's just been covering up those feelings. For her to have that moment of growth and understanding while simultaneously killing a man is definitely so interesting and was so fun to watch, because it was like, I'm just so excited to see where this kind of redemptive path takes her, and potential anti-hero arc kind of forms, because she does live on that morally gray line. And I mean, in this moment especially, because we're like, okay, we see this kind of like growth and understanding and love in her heart, but she also kills someone in the same breath, and it's like so cool and such a fun moment, I think, for Alice. Not a fun moment, but like such a good moment for Alice as a character, and also a really great moment for Rachel Skarsten as an actress. Like I said, she's literally the greatest. So back in Wayne Tower, though, Mary says a line that absolutely should have tipped me off to the kind of plant that this was. She says, she's bleeding all over the damn plant. And it's like, okay, duh, it's a desert rose, which they don't reveal until the end, but come on, like I should have picked up on that. That was my immediate thought when they revealed that the desert rose was Ryan's plant, that Ryan had a desert rose the whole time. I was like, oh my god, she's bleeding on the plant, like duh, hello. But anyway, so they managed to together lift up the assassin and get the plant out from underneath of her. But as they're making their grand escape, the assassin gets up and Julia comes in and she throws a knife right into her heart and just kills her, like right on the spot. And I was so excited because I love Julia. I love her so much. And I missed her these past couple of episodes that she hasn't been in. So I was definitely missing her and so excited to see her. And she kind of says that she has terrible news. And this next scene and kind of sequence of events unfolds kind of in tandem. So on Coriana, Tatiana and Ryan have a talk, and she says that self-sacrifice is overrated. And Ryan says, hey, I didn't choose Kate because Alice is not going to kill Kate. And because I saw the humanity in her eyes. I saw that she didn't want to kill Kate. And Tatiana's like, you know what, you're right. Alice is not going to kill Kate. And then it's revealed that Kate was never even there in the first place. And it's just a room full of replica necklaces that Sophia had given to Alice. That was Kate's necklace. That was her proof that Kate was there. But it was just a room with necklaces hanging from the ceiling. And at the same time as that's happening, Julia reveals that body parts were found off of Bloodhaven and the DNA was Kate's. And then you see Sophia is like strung Alice along this whole time, and she's hysterical and she's pulling on the necklaces, and they drag her out and she's restrained by the many arms, and Sophia is just like looking at her like so evilly, and Alice says, you are a monster, and Sophia replies, and I created you, so what does that make you? Oh my god. Such an insane moment. I literally was like jaw on the floor. For a second, I was like, did I just delude myself into thinking that Kate Kane is coming back? Because I was like, Caroline told me that she wasn't going to kill Kate. I'm so sad. But obviously we find out later that that's not the case. But they had me. You got me, girl. I was like, holy shit. And in the woods, though, Sophie and Jacob find a plane, which is going to be their escape route. And Sophie goes off on her own to look for Kate while Jacob gets the plane hot-wired. He's going to hot-wire this plane. And so then we see Sophia with Tatiana and Ocean's body on the ground. And she pulls the blade out of Ocean and he goes, and it's like, what? And apparently this blade was like a desert rose blade, and the minute that it entered his chest, it like clotted the wound so that he wouldn't bleed out. And I'm like, okay, but doesn't having like a blade in your heart, like maybe that doesn't bode well for living? I don't know. But it just went to show that like death is too easy for Sophia, and that she is crazy. This bitch is crazy. But I love that she's so unhinged, and she's like the icon of like petty, dramatic, evil lesbian, and I love it. She is crazy. And so she actually confronts Tatiana in another huge reveal that Tatiana was the one writing the notes and taunting Alice the whole time. Oh my god. And she was the one that framed her for the plane crash. She's the one that burned the map. She's the one that killed all those people at Hamilton. Oh my god. And it's like, this lesbian shit is intense, because Tatiana's like, I did it all because you were still in love with her, like you couldn't move on, so I just tried to like make it so you could move on. And then Sophia stabs Tatiana in the chest with the blade, and I was like, okay, wait, so because Sophia says, okay, I'm gonna pull it out when I decide to forgive her. But how long can someone really live with like a blade in their chest? Like, ooh. But either way, it was crazy. And so Alice then, while she's being let out, she like punches the guys who are holding her. She grabs a torch and she throws it right on the field of the desert rose. And I was like, oh my god. Oh my god. That was like the third big reveal in like 5 minutes, and I was just like, what? And Sophia, like, it's actually, I mean, and Alice says, now we both have nothing, to no one. And Sophia is up on her little patio, and she's like, my roses, and she's like fully like villain, like wailing and crying, and I'm like, this is crazy. Oh my god. And so Sophie ends up seeing the burning roses, and she's like, oh my god. And Batwoman is leaned right against a rock right there, and she tells her that Kate is not on the island, and that she's dying, and that she didn't get the desert rose that she needed. But in that moment, Mary looks at Ryan's plant, and it's a desert rose. It was fed by the assassin that bled all over it. And so Ryan, it's a really heartbreaking moment between Ryan and Sophie. She says, I'm not going to make it. Can you just sit with me? I don't want to die alone. And that was just so upsetting. And it was such an interesting moment too, because Sophie is like, look, I'm sorry that I didn't give you a chance. I'm sorry that I put all these like judgments on you, that I just didn't treat you right. I'm sorry about that. And that was, oh my god. And they hold hands. Oh my god. It was just so sad, and it was so sweet. But then Luke calls Sophie, and she actually gets the call, and she's like, oh my god, I could get calls now? And he's like, yeah, the field must have dropped. Anyway, you need to get Ryan and get your ass back here right now, because we've got a desert rose. Surprise, surprise. Get on the plane right now. And that was kind of the cliffhanger for Ryan. And then, oh my god, then they show it says Gotham City Barbershop, and then it goes down beyond that and into the sewer, which gross, but they go into the sewer, and there's these echoes and like whispers of it's our birthstone, and oh, red is like this powerful color or whatever. And we see Kate Kane. Oh my god. Kate Kane is sitting in the sewer, her face crispy, just fried. And oh my god. And she, listen, I'm not gonna lie, for a minute I thought that it was straight up her dead body. I was like, what the hell was that? I was like so upset. But I think that's why they released those articles, like literally the minute after the episode aired. They were like, look, we've recast Kate Kane. She's not dead. Don't worry. She was alive in that shot, but she sure didn't look alive. Like she was looking real crispy, okay? And it's like, that was insane. That was crazy. The last like 10 minutes of that episode just like blew my mind. Because they really had me thinking that Kate was dead. And then they were like, look, here's her dead body. But it wasn't her dead body. And I was like, oh my God, my heart can't take much more of this. And obviously, I mean, this raises so many questions about Kate and about Batwoman. And Caroline did state in an interview, I think for maybe like Variety or something, that Ryan is Batwoman and she's going to stay Batwoman, which I appreciate and I love, and I'm excited to see Ryan's journey obviously continue, because I've truly fallen in love with her over the 8 episodes that we've had her so far. But it also is like, okay, God, what are they gonna do with Kate? And I mean, honestly, she looked rough. I wonder, and this wouldn't be the first time that the Arrowverse did this, took a character and kind of put them in a different character's shoes. I wonder if she's gonna kind of be like an Oracle type, you know? I mean, just maybe not necessarily a full-on disabled person in a wheelchair, because I don't know about how necessarily ethical that would be, you know. I don't know. Do people, I don't know. I don't know the details of disabled representation and how people feel about able-bodied people playing disabled characters. Anyway, I don't know the gist of that, but I don't know. You know, what if she is just like hurt beyond getting back in a suit? What if her role is to be in the Batcave now permanently? And I would love that. You know what? I mean, to me, I fully agree with Luke that having Kate and Ryan is a great problem to have. It's an incredible problem to have. And for us to like have Ryan out in the field but still have Kate Kane and have her presence and have the character that originated Batwoman, to have her still remain on the show, even if she's not in a suit or in a fighting position, you know what I mean? I would still be goddamn thrilled about that. I would be so thrilled. And it would be so cool. It would make for such a good TV and such a good show to have Kate come back and fully and permanently. And they said in the article that Wallis will be a recurring character on this season. So not a series regular, but a recurring guest role. I hope that maybe for season 3 that can be expanded to a series regular role. I would love that, especially if in the near future they want Luke to become Batwing. Then they need somebody in the Batcave to be that person, to be that Oracle type, to be that Felicity type. You know what I mean? They need somebody to be Mission Control. And if that could be Kate, I would be so thrilled about that. That would be so awesome. And also, I mean, this would hint at like a Wildmore versus Batmore love triangle between Kate, Sophie, and Ryan. I mean, I definitely got those vibes from the end of this episode. And you know what, too? I mean, me and I think that was a duo episode where we were talking about, me and Eliana were talking about Julia and about the role that she could play in Kate's return. And I think that was kind of confirmed last night too, where, you know, Julia was the one to bring these DNA results, and obviously they're fake because we know that Kate is out there. She exists in the world. Her body is together. She's alive. So there's no way that those body parts were her body parts. So who fudged the DNA? And I believe that it was Julia. I believe that she is the one helping Kate right now, potentially, like to protect her from something, from whatever. Because, somebody, at the end of the day, somebody took her plane down. And I don't think it was Tatiana. I don't think she took down the plane. I think she just made Sophia take credit for it, you know? And especially because, at the beginning of the season, Julia was the first one on the scene. She was the first one there to leave the suit. So if she took Kate and took her somewhere where she would be safe, I don't know why she'd take her to the sewer. But, like, I think that Julia is fully involved in this. And I love that. And I don't think in a shady way. You know what I mean? Like, I don't think that she is involved in a bad way. I think she's involved in a way that she's protecting Kate, because that's what Pennyworths do. They protect the Bat. And I love that. This show is so good. And oh my God, I'm so excited. Hell, I might have to wait. I might have to make 2 recaps every single week work, because this is so thrilling. I'm so excited about Batwoman. Oh my God, I might have to make it work, guys. I might have to make it work. Oh my God. All right. I'll keep you all posted on that, on 2 recap situation in a bit. I'll have to think on it and decide, but I am thrilled about what is happening on Batwoman right now. And I have so many theories and so many thoughts, and I'm so excited. And kudos to Natalie Abrams, who wrote such an incredible episode. I am just floored by this episode. It was so fun and so amazing. And obviously, again, huge congratulations to Wallis Day, who truly, beyond truly deserves this role. And I'm so excited to see what she does with Kate. And yeah, that's all I got. This episode was kind of long, but I just had so much to say about this episode of Batwoman. I loved it. I'm so excited to see what the future holds for this show. Like I said, it's my favorite superhero show that is on right now. Truly. And I think it's one of the best. And it does Gotham so well. It does Batman and the Bat universe's characters so well. It's wonderful. And people that don't like it just pretend not to like it. That's all I got, though. Thank you guys so much for listening. Let me know about your theories for Kate and for Ryan and for everything. Let me know your theories in the comments below, or you can tweet me at TelevisedPod and let me know what you think. I really, really, really want to hear everybody's theories and thoughts and feelings about this, because this is something that I'm so excited about. And yeah, you can do all the things, rate, like, share, subscribe, whatever. And I will see you guys next week for Supergirl recap. But like I said, maybe I'll do Batwoman recap. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see when we get there. Follow me on Twitter at TelevisedPod to stay updated on all of that. But if not, I'll see you on Friday next week. Bye.